All right, let's get to it. I do not work for Sensodyne. Wait for some people to come on. Especially, I think it was Copper Truth. Wait for definitely for him to come on here because he really wanted this. He really wanted to talk about this, and yeah, there's just a lot to cover. So you guys might ask me some questions that I might have to look up. So bear with me on that as well. Gonna also talk some stimulus check action. Got a little smut, a little smut right there. Little stimulus check action. All right, so I'll wait till you guys come on. There is definitely a lot to cover. And I want to be clear, a lot of what I'm going to say is my opinion, my personal opinion. I'm also going to say that a lot of my information comes from just the regular news, the U.S. news in particular is what I've been looking up. So I get their news feed every day. So let's see if I can, yeah, I get the Cowboys for Trump patrollers follow city. So yeah, I get U.S. news feed every day, and I read some of it. That is pertaining to things that interest me, and I don't read all the news and take it all serious. But okay, so I don't get any news feeds from Fox, you know what I'm saying, or CNN. So I don't get any left, right. I just get news. Some of it is Facebook news. Some of it is just like I said, Newsweek or whatever it is. But I don't go to one media channel, or another to get anything. Sometimes it's World Star Hip Hop I get it from, because World Star kind of covers, everything. It's not even hip hop anymore. So there that is. So I'm not left or right or for or against. Yeah, inauguration will be something. Okay, Kitty, let's start with the inauguration. What up, old man? Zulu Nation, what's happening? Yes, I am old. I'm 53 years old now. So there it is. 50. All right. So Kitty Candy, let's start with that. I'm assuming you're a woman. And thank you for stopping by the channel. Let's start with the inauguration. There's no need to regurgitate the events that have happened. That they got all these politicians about to be arrested. Yes. I mean, see, you veered off, but it's okay. Okay, so let's start there. Nancy Pelosi made a statement. She hasn't gone into action yet. Oh, thank you very much, Zulu Nation. Stay blessed. Yeah. It is. I don't know if you remember. If you remember me, is from. You gotta give me a minute. I ain't been on in a minute. I'm sorry. So you got to remind me of a conversation that we had. And I'll be like, yeah, okay. But big ups for the cash, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm old, ain't I? I still flex on them though. Don't get it twisted. I still hit 315. All right. Yeah, I'm old, man. But so Nancy Pelosi decided, or she's making waves because it's nothing until they actually put it down on paper. Nancy Pelosi decided she is looking to uh, find some kind of justice and go after any cabinet member, actually anyone who has helped the insurrection that happened on the 6th now. This means that she might be going up against, people who she knows personally. As a matter of fact, that's exactly what it means. She's going to be going up against people that her kids and their kids know each other, that type of thing. Live in the same neighborhood, and we're friends, even though they might be on one side or the other. I don't know if any Democrats were involved in that. I doubt it, but mostly they're Republicans who are involved in this. And this also means going after Rudy Giuliani. The one person who we know she's not going to go after is Mitch McConnell because he was cowering, just like Mike Pence and the rest of, just like Mike Pence and a lot of other cabinet members who were in there. So she's also the FBI has already opened up investigation on some of the Supreme Court justice people. So this went all the way to the top. Supreme Court justice, who helped in this. So yeah, this has already gone all the way to the top. And Nancy Pelosi isn't alone in her thinking. If the FBI is already asking these people questions, then hey, Nancy might as well get on board and go ahead with it. Now, how far they're going to go, we don't know. But if the FBI is looking at you right now and they're coming to your door, they're calling you, it's a good chance that you might be looking at some time in prison. You're going to be, you have a lot of people who resigned from their jobs once the whole thing went bad. This is usually how an insurrection goes or how a coup goes. When the coup doesn't, go their way, people start bailing out and start separating themselves. Donald Trump actually separated himself from those people. Rudy Giuliani actually in his Game of Thrones reference was like, oh, I was, wasn't talking about going in there and, when he said trial by combat, he actually started backpedaling from that already. They do not have a defense team for the latest impeachment. I think they're just going to let it happen. Or this, of course, they don't really have time to defend themselves when this guy has to go on the 26th, it's over. So they don't really have time to get together a whole legal team and try to fight an impeachment when they're already out of office. But of course, the impeachment, in my eyes, is made, for one, to make history. No president has ever been impeached twice. And for two, to disallow Donald Trump to ever see any office again. So he can't run for mayor. He's not, unless it's in somewhere in North Dakota somewhere in some backwoods, place. He's not going to run for anything, for any office and hold any power. Not if he gets impeached again. I think that, listen, like I said, this is my opinion. I believe the reason why they're impeaching him again is so he can't come into power again. Other than that, the man only got a couple more days to be in office. But that's why I believe they're going to go ahead with the impeachment. As a matter of fact, they have already. It's just so he can never hold office again. Yeah. See, the impeachment, people were laughing about that. Oh, you're going to impeach him. He's about to be out of office. You don't understand. The impeachment is for the long run. It's not for the short run. Donald Trump was only in for 4 years, which means he could run again. He can run again next year. There's nothing stopping him until now. His impeachment will stop him from running. So, as a matter of fact, I don't know any president who was ever impeached, and I think there's 1, 2, 3 of them who were impeached That includes Donald Trump, who's ever came back and tried to run again. I forgot who the first one was, but the second one was Bill Clinton. So, but I think Bill Clinton was on his way out anyway, but they impeached him. And, well, I think Bill Clinton was impeached, and I think Nixon was impeached. It's 1, 2, 3. So that's 4. I think 4 presidents were impeached. So that's what's really going on. It's the long game that Nancy Pelosi is playing. Because let's just face it, not unless her term limit comes up. If they do have term limits, let me throw this out there for you guys who are listening. I used to work in the Ohio House of Representatives. I was a legislative aide for a year. I started off as a temporary, just going in and being a legislative aide, and they thought I was doing a good job. And what they did was the state had hired me on, and I worked for the Republicans first, and then I worked for the Democrats. And that actually is one reason that I ended up not working there anymore, because I was getting emails from both sides, because I had worked for both sides before. And the last representative I worked for, the reason why they got rid of her is because of term limits. Now, before 2000, the Ohio House of Representatives did not have term limits. So you had people who were there for 30 years, because they didn't have term limits. Well, once they implemented term limits, all those people who were there for so long, they threw all of those people out. It's like, you can't do this anymore. And I was working for Representative Barbara Boyd, and her and I ended up going to another state entity to work. So she took me with her, and I didn't work for the House or for the House representative or for the Senate. I would have liked to go into the Senate, but that didn't happen. So anyways, I just wanted to say that because I have a little bit of background in politics. It's not much. It's not much to brag on. I don't think anything is much to brag on when it comes to politics, but I do have a background in politics. So just to let you guys know that. Nonetheless, so that's what Nancy Pelosi is doing. She's playing the long game, and it works. If the president is impeached, I don't think he will be able to run again. That's just my opinion right now. However, if he is able to run again, for one, we know if Donald Trump is able to run for office again, let's just say he's able to run for president again. Why they got them troops out there? I'll tell you about that in a second. If he's able to run for president again, will Donald Trump be the president? No. I don't think if Donald Trump ever ran again, I don't think he would ever succeed. It's just what he's done was just such a heinous crime on American soil to Americans, to elected officials, that his own elected officials in his cabinet have separated themselves from him. Colin Powell said he's no longer a Republican. This is Colin Powell. This is the guy who helped start the war for us to go to Afghan. All right, he's like, I'm no longer a Republican. Like, wait, what? You were like the, Republican, you know what I'm saying? What? So you're getting a lot of them to say, I don't want nothing to do with the Republican Party. This is not the Republican Party. I don't want nothing to do with it. As far as why they got them troops out, well, they got them troops out there because of what happened on the 6th. And they think, well, they know that Donald Trump still has the power to draw the attention that he did on the 6th. As a matter of fact, what we saw on the 6th was just a snowflake of power that he actually has. And Donald Trump, listen, if you ask people why they vote for Donald Trump and why they believe in Donald Trump, you're going to get a lot of mixed bag of, answers. One of them is so the QAnon people who were there on the 6th going into the White House illegally one of the groups, the QAnon people, believe that America and other countries, but basically America, is being controlled by Hollywood and people on Capitol Hill who run a ring of pedophiles. Now, they didn't just make this up, all right? We know they didn't just make this up because of what happened earlier. Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein, in his death, blew the whole door open on the ring of pedophiles and Sex Island and all that. And there's a lot of we wouldn't have even known if they wouldn't have killed Jeffrey Epstein. Wouldn't have even known it. We would have just thought this dude was running around with 14-year-olds getting massages from him. And that was that. We've been like, okay, a lot of old, those guys on Capitol Hill, a lot of them are doing that crazy stuff. I mean, we know that happens, but no. It got deeper. And when it got deeper, people started investigating. And when those investigations started coming out, this is where the QAnon people start making traction. They were like, oh, well, wait a minute. This goes, they're looking at Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks? They have a whole list of people who they believe are behind these pedophile rings. And so they vote for Donald Trump because they believe Donald Trump was there to stop the pedophile rings. So this is a different type of passion that these QAnon people have. Now, the Proud Boys vote for Donald Trump because Donald Trump is a racist, and this is very clear. Donald Trump also is pro-police. He's for the police. when you put a criminal in the car and you do it, you put his head down nicely, don't do that. Just kind of boom. He's a criminal. Treat him any old kind of way. This is Polo Sports. Clintons are crooks too. Well, we all know that. Yeah, we know that, Polo. 100% we know that the Clintons are crooked. But nobody knew about Sex Island until they knocked off Jeffrey Epstein. See, killing him was worse than him being alive. See, they thought if we knock him off, dead men don't talk. No. That's not the way it goes. That's not the way it goes when you're at that level. Now there's an investigation on why this person showed up in his, in where he was thrown in jail, and then next thing you know, he's dead the next day. Then you go and you arrest his girlfriend too. You know what I'm saying? No, people want to know. And everybody with a smartphone is an investigator. You know what I mean? So you can't just knock Jeffrey Epstein off and shut him up and think that it just goes away. This is not the old days. That's not what happens now. People want to know. People are curious to why would you do this? Is this really true? And it turns out that there are just some high possibilities. I saw a excerpt on WorldStar where this girl, she couldn't have been no older than 10, and she was talking about the things that her father and people at a particular school, the teachers at the school, were doing to these children. I'm not going to go into it, but what they were doing to these children, and she talked at length and in great detail of the things that they were doing to all of the children. So this is a very real thing that's going on. And we don't know the connections to everybody, but it is a real thing. And I'm sure my eyeballs weren't the only ones that saw that on WorldStar Hip Hop and other channels that are out there. So this is why the QAnon people voted for Donald Trump. And this is why they're so passionate about Donald Trump staying in office. I thought, like a lot of people thought, oh, these are just crazy people who just want Donald Trump to be in office because of racists. No, these are people who want Donald Trump to be in office because they believe he is pretty much a godsend for the evil that's happening on Capitol Hill and in Hollywood. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but Donald Trump is a non-politician, and his way of thinking is pretty much very direct. It's either yes or no. He doesn't do the political speak thing. He doesn't do that. When a reporter asked him about China, or asked him about the coronavirus, and he said, because it comes from China. And she was like, why are you saying that to me? And she was thinking that because she's Asian, that he's directing, he was like, because you asked me the question. She's like, why do you keep calling it a Chinese disease? He's like, because it comes from China. Like, his mindset is not, oh, I'm going to offend China if I say it comes from. No, he's like, it comes from China. It's their fault. That's it, and that's all. That's one thing I do like about Donald Trump. I wish he wasn't a racist, because his mindset for America wasn't. It wasn't okay. Let's take it in compartments. Financially, it wasn't terrible. His mindset for America wasn't terrible. His mindset, when he talked about the stimulus bill that just came out, he was like, why are we spending money, $3 million on researchers of trees? He couldn't understand why he couldn't get $2,000 into your hand. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not pro Donald Trump at all. I don't like the man. I never did. But some things about him I wish Joe Biden took on. His matter of factness, when it came to kicking ass, if somebody came to this country to kick ass, I don't think Donald Trump would sit there and be like, yeah, let them kick our ass. I think Donald Trump would be like, listen, before Donald Trump was elected, he asked about nuclear weapons. This is before he got in office. He was like, don't we have nuclear weapons? They said, yeah. He said, well, why don't we use them? Now, I don't want us to use nuclear weapons. Possibly. He's got a lot of investigations on him. But I do like the fact that you'll punch somebody in the face, Donald Trump. I like that about you. I like that 100%. If somebody came to this country talking that yip yap, Donald Trump will punch you in the face. I like that about you. All the other stuff just overshadowed that for me. I tried to give him a chance. I was like, oh, you can't be that bad. But he was that bad. He's that terrible of a person. He just has little sparks of life in him. But the majority, I can't do it with you, Donald Trump. You're just too crazy. And you tried to take over the Capitol by force. You tried to knock off the whole cabinet members. Any cabinet members that didn't do what you wanted, you tried to kill the vice president. You knew those people was armed Donald Trump. I can't support that whatsoever. Like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? If Donald Trump could have his own country, he would. And you want to know something? A lot of people would move to that country. That's how powerful Donald Trump is. And that's the reason why there's 25,000 troops ready to get it on when this election happens. When the inauguration happens, There's 25,000 troops. Another thing about me, I am ex-military. So just wanted to throw that out there. I am ex-Army. So I understand some things, about the military that most of us can grasp. But a military mind is kind of different from a civilian mind. We know that the military, let's talk about the military. We know that the military was not allowed to intervene during the insurrection on the 6th. We know that they weren't taking calls from cabinet members who were locked in and locked down and fearing for their life, trying to get military troops to help the police out. These people thought they were going to die. They did, because let's just face it, the police that were there, not all of them were protecting the cabinet members. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them were just like, come on in. And they let them in, walked around and took selfies with them, walked around, laughed with them. That's because they believe the same thing. They want Donald Trump to be and stay president. So you had some people who were there who were not for Donald Trump, and some people who were for Donald Trump. So I'm sure they believed that some of them were going to lose their life that day once it all went bad. They tried to summon, the military, which is the power that they have. They can call on. I think they called to Baltimore and called to the mayor or whoever was down there and said, "Hey, can we get some military troops up here?" And whoever they spoke to was like, "Sure, 100%. Let me make a phone call." And they tried to make a phone call to make it happen, and they kept saying that they didn't have authorization. So when authorization was finally given, that's when you saw all the people being pushed back, and that's when you saw military people who were intervening. Which means, this, like I said, this goes all the way to the top. This goes the cabinet members who were in on this insurrection and even our military. So they're going to have to probe deep into the people who are in the military and kick them out. It's not going to be a severance package. Listen, those people are going to go to jail. Those people who are in the military, they're going to go to jail. And that's just that. And I think, you're going to see some colonels and generals. You're going to have some big boys. Some of their heads are going to roll. They're going to be 100% out of the military. Once Nancy Pelosi gets done, she's going to really, really, really clean house. And the FBI is right behind her. And if any of those military people decide they want to, duke it out, what I'm saying, it's going to be, they'll lose their life. And their family will be ostracized. It's going to be really, really, really bad for them. So this isn't over by a long shot. And Nancy is mad. She's mad as hell. She's not playing at all. So as far as Joe Biden is concerned, Joe Biden has 17 investigations opened about him with the being touchy-feely on kids, I think it is, or something like that. Children. We've seen pictures of him, looking kind of creepy, whatever. Listen, I didn't vote for any of them. Him and Kamala Harris, we know that they've been helping keeping Black people in jail. Kamala Harris has actually blocked some people from getting off of death row. So she doesn't care about people dying, if she can help it. It's like, so what? You're going to die. So we know Kamala Harris is a killer. Let's just face it. She's a killer. She'll have you, if it's her career in your life, guess who's going? You are. She's going to stay where she's at. That's just that. We don't care if you're innocent. Kill him. Keep going. I got things to do. Knock him off. This is her attitude. This is the way she is. We know she's been, people called her out for it. People on death row, and she blocked efforts from taking them off of death row, which means you wanted those people to die. So I don't look at Joe Biden or Kamala Harris as a godsend to anything. I don't care how Black Kamala Harris is. I don't even know if what percent of Black she is. I don't care that she's a woman. You could have had any woman get in there, and if she's a good woman, I'm on board. Nancy is an evil woman. I'm not saying she ain't. Yeah, I can't show that language, but nonetheless, I do understand what you're saying. So I'm not on board with anybody who can block somebody's efforts so they don't. And then when you're questioned about it during your run, you come up with this political answer that meant absolutely nothing, which means you're guilty as hell. That sickens me. I hate when politicians answer questions like that. I'm just like, answer the question. Did you do it or not? So she's got blood. She's got blood on her hands, if you ask me. Kamala Harris got blood on her hands. She does not represent Black people just because she's Black. We are all being used in the jail system to keep the jail system running for modern day slavery. And she's a part of it. She's like the Clintons to me. We were all just like, yeah, Bill Clinton, you keep the economy going. Well, Bill Clinton was a 3 strikes you're out. He was keeping people locked up in prison forever on smoking weed, something that people do right in front of a police officer's face like it ain't nothing, like, and sell it. Talk about now it's good for your eyes and, it's cool to eat and all this other stuff, but sending black people to jail for life. They're sending people to jail for life for weed. And even and just if they thought you had weed, listen, if you made a phone call and the weed was in the conversation, they would come and arrest you. They were tapping phones just to listen to, oh, you know where the weed is? They did that to a woman. She knew who the weed dude was, and they came and arrested her and put her in jail. 3 strikes, you're out. With that, that is as criminal as it gets. So we know that the criminal system is the Justice Department. We know that they're in on it. What they did to Tamir Rice was criminal. You rolled up and killed a 13-year-old for no reason, and the Justice Department said, hey, so what? So what? You killed a child. You murdered a black child in broad daylight, and they were just like, nah, we're not gonna, these police officers, they weren't acting willful. They didn't do it on purpose. You shot him in 2 seconds. You didn't do it on purpose? You shot a child. If a little white kid got shot by a grown-ass by anybody, it's all over the news. It's a big deal. Oh, this little kid was so good. He was playing with his BB guns like all little kids do. He was by himself. I don't understand why so-and-so just went up and shot him. Well, so it's different from Tamir Rice, who was sitting in he was sitting by himself with a BB gun, and you just go and you blew him up in 2 seconds. You didn't give him no stop what you're doing, put the gun down, which is protocol, hey, put the gun down. You rolled up in the grass. Both of you jumped out, and when he started walking towards you, you gunned him down, pow, without a word being said. And you mean Justice Department? That's legal, Justice Department? That's legal? Police can do that? Nah, you guys are criminal. You guys are criminal too. You criminal too. And this brings me to thinking, how mad was I to see the White House get invaded? Can't say I was mad. I was more disappointed. I was disappointed because Black Lives Matter couldn't have done that without everybody being shot dead. But I was disappointed that they were just able to do that. And, one person was shot dead. The other 4 people, 3 people died because of their own stupid mistakes. One person was a police officer. There were 5 people who were dead all day. You know what I'm saying? But if that was Black Lives Matter, there would have been so many dead bodies around. So I wasn't angry at what they did. I was disappointed. Like, you guys really think we don't matter? You really think that black people are nothing? You think that black people are disposable? Like, we've been fighting in this country for hundreds of years just to be equal, and it was clear on the 6th that black people are not anywhere close to being equal to white people. We are not as valued, and we never will be in this country. It is appallingly apparent that black people are expendable, highly expendable, and more or less used as tools, a means to an end. That's what I saw. So I was disappointed. Would I want them to do it again? Absolutely not. I think what they did was a very stupid thing to do. And I never thought I would have seen that in my day. They also reported that the different groups that were going in there, one of the groups was holding, of course, a Confederate flag. And we know that means 100% racism from the losing side of the Civil War. And that has never in history happened before. So there was a lot of history broken on the 6th. And this is the reason why there are so many troops who are ready to defend the White House. There's also a barrier around the White House, which is a gate. I'm sure security inside the White House is beefed up. And to me, this will not stop the crazies from coming out. And some of those people who were there, I don't think were crazy. I'm not for what they did. I'm not a Donald Trumper at all. But some of what they did, I could understand. You know, at first I was just like, you guys are nuts, you guys are racist, you guys are white. But then I started looking at why some of them are doing what they're doing. A lot of them are nuts, a lot of them are racist. But then I started looking at it and said, well, some of you aren't nuts. Some of you actually have a legitimate complaint. I mean, we have had $2,000 in 8-9 months for a stimulus check. And you guys are deliberating on if you're going to give us $1,400. Like, there's deliberation over giving the people who serve this country, who keep this country going, who work, whose jobs you took away. We don't deserve the $1,400. You guys have to think about this. Mitch McConnell, you had to think about this. You had to. I don't understand that. I don't get that. Why are you in office if all of you are in agreement to coronavirus hit, tell people to stop going to work, start the stimulus checks immediately? Why aren't we doing that? Why are we not doing that? And then you're talking about the reason why Joe Biden's stimulus package is ridiculous is because Donald Trump's stimulus package already had what was in Joe Biden's stimulus package, and don't double up and put us in trillions and trillions of dollars in debt, and yada yada yada. And I'm still like, you people just don't get it. You're not gonna get it until they're throwing dead babies at you. We don't care about your deliberation and all this other stuff. We care about the country. We care about the country going into financial pitfall. But what good is any of that if there's nobody here? What good is any of that if the crime rate is move extra fast with impeachment, but argue for months? Look. AOC was arguing that Joe Biden's stimulus check is $1,400. She said, why is it $1,400? $2,000 is $2,000. This is what you ran on. This is the premise that you ran on. And Joe Biden was like, yeah, but you guys already got $600. See, that's the idiocy that pisses me off. You're like, yeah, but you guys already got $600. You see, this is why I wasn't upset when they went and ran inside the goddamn White House. This is why it didn't piss me off. It just disappointed me the way they did it. I wasn't brokenhearted. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want nobody to die. I wanted the cabinet members to have a face-to-face with the reality of the day. I didn't want them to go in there and get handcuffs and, hanged and all that other nonsense. But listen, the wrong people ran in the White House. It should have been a bunch of out-of-work fathers, baby mothers, babies. Those are the people who should have ran up in the White House. None of us are working. We can't buy food. Here's our children. Whole families are losing their houses. Whole families. 35,000 people in one state evicted. Gone. Those are the people I wish would have converged on the White House and got in. And instead of them cowering under a desk thinking that they're about to lose their life, I wish they would have still been in session on the goddamn stimulus check. I wish Mitch McConnell would have been right the freak there, staring right down a mother's face with 8 kids, looking right at her and tell her no. Like, tell this mother no. Look at her and tell her no to her face. Because you see this little army she got behind her? This is America's people, right? This is Americans right here. And they can't eat. They have nowhere to sleep tonight. They're defecating all over, wherever. It's unsanitary. They're unsafe. They're not protected. You guys spent $56 billion or $560 billion, whatever the hell that is, on the freaking military, on a goddamn warship traveling across the goddamn world, but you can't feed these children. That's what the hell is happening. You got all kind of aircraft carriers and F-22 freaking whatever that cost $40-50 million a goddamn jet, and this person can't get a goddamn peanut butter and jelly to her 8-year-old. That incenses me. Oh yeah, but you already got $600. We got $2,000 in 8 months. In 8 months. And you guys are deliberating. Here's the reality of the day. You're going to find more people at the White House door. And I think that the White House is going to be very well protected. But you're going to find people there who are unarmed. You're going to find that these people are not interested in combat. This is not going to be military needed, type of, insurrection. That's not what this is going to be. You're going to find people who have nowhere else to go. They don't have nowhere to go. They have absolutely no. You got people who are living in their cars. And you know what's really crazy? These people are still working somewhere. Making as little as they can, but they can't afford to pay rent. Or they can't afford the mortgage on their house. Remember when the subprime lending thing happened and all those people lost their homes? This is worse than that. This is not people being duped into getting a loan that's, paying $700 a month and then all of a sudden it jumps up $2,000 a month. That's not what's happening here. These are people who did nothing wrong. And you took their jobs from them. You just reached in and said, boom, you all no longer can work. And or you have to find something else to do behind a desk, somewhere where you're separated. You shut down buildings, you shut down America, and you told those people, fend for yourself. So what do you think is going to be at your doorstep? Before it gets super violent. See, it ain't got violent yet. They tattooed your door, Pelosi. They tattooed your door, Mitch McConnell. Oh, you ain't seen violent yet. You ain't seen violent. The majority of people in America are women. They are an army in themselves. And they're healthy. They're healthy. Look what happened when Donald Trump ran against, or look what happened when Hillary Clinton ran against Obama. Those white women came out in droves, didn't they? They came out ready. They was like, what's good? They was like, if you don't put her on your cabinet somewhere, we're going to react. They were actually saying this. The majority of people in this country are women. Those women have children. They are going to line up at your door. And it's not going to be Proud Boys. It's not what's going to happen. It's just, there's not going to be flags. There's not going to be patches and all this. They're not going to have masks on so you can't see their face. There's not going to be none of that. It's going to be a bunch of families that just show up. Because you guys have what they need. You have our money. And we shouldn't have to wait for it. And you're making us wait as if you're sending $40 billion to Israel. You send them $40 billion. You're spending millions of dollars on researching trees. Donald Trump talked about this. He said, why are we sending this money and spending it on other things instead of this is what's going to happen? They're not going to need to crash the White House in order to come see the politicians who are making the decisions on their lives. They're going to find you. They're going to come to your house. They already have. And they warned you. They tattooed your front door. It's not going to be a tattoo. There's not going to be feces and stuff like that. You're going to have live children right there in your doorstep, right on your porch, right there in your front yard for miles. We don't want to hear nothing else about why you're not giving us a stimulus check. We don't care about nothing else. We don't. Most people don't understand the economy. You're too busy trying to save the economy, but you're losing the people. Alan Greenspan, listen, none of us are related to Alan Greenspan. We didn't study economics. We're not going to go, oh my God, if we buy this loaf of bread, America's just going to go down the tubes. None of us believe that. If we stop buying AV Harrier jets and all this other nonsense that you guys, well, they don't buy AV Harrier jets anymore. But nonetheless, if we start buying Raptor 22s and B-52 bombers in fixed wing, and all that other stuff for $30 million each, you know what I'm saying? You want to brag on Lockheed Martin and Boeing, you're going to have dead babies at your door. That's the result, because we can't feed them. You can't feed them. The economy's going to be shot simply because you didn't feed the people. I don't understand this. I don't understand this at all. How America can just care less about its own people. The apathy of the cabinet members is just beyond my knowledge. It's beyond. Listen, when I worked in the Ohio House of Representatives, I had a lady call me. I was a legislative aide. So I get the phone calls before my legislator talks to anyone. Is most of the time, my legislator doesn't even talk to you. When I got the phone call, my legislator represented a zone somewhere in Ohio. I take care of that zone. My legislator doesn't. My legislator's not going to talk to you. So I had a lady call me. I answered the phone, so-and-so's office. So-and-so, told her my name. How can I help you? This lady's crying. This lady's crying, telling me her husband works for the post office. And the post office postmaster would not let them enroll in their insurance. All of you, if you don't know, this is how insurance goes. When it's time for enrollment into your insurance, there's a letter sent out to the employees. If you don't adhere to that letter, then you could miss the enrollment date. So the insurance doesn't know that you're insured with them. They think you went somewhere else and got your insurance. Well, this guy, in his 50s, he leaves that to, the wife and stuff like that. Well, she's calling me. She thinks it's her fault that they missed open enrollment. What happened is they never got the letter. So she calls the postmaster, which is an elected position. So she was smart. She called the postmaster and told the postmaster, she said, listen, we never got the letter. We missed enrollment. So we can't pay for all the medicine to keep my husband working. If the husband's no longer working, they lose everything. There's an old-fashioned family. As the wife is at home, taking care of the husband. The husband goes out to work. This is an old-fashioned traditional family. If he's not working, then what? They lose everything. This is why she's crying on the phone. And I was like, well, ma'am, what is the name of the postmaster? Like, let's get this on. She gives me his name, get the number. I called him in. I hung up. I said, I'll take care of it. Boom. Hang up. Boom. Call this guy. Called him by his first name and said, this is Anthony at the Ohio House of Representatives, Representative Someone's office. We have a problem. And once I told him what the problem was, and I'm talking to him like this, like, we got a problem. And once I told him what the problem was, I hung up the phone because he said he'll take care of it. Boom. Next thing you know, I get a call back from that same lady the next day, and she was like, thank you very much. And I was like, what happened? She's like, not only did he open enrollment for us to get our insurance, but there are other people in the post office who the same thing happened to too. So he was holding back a bunch of people from getting their insurance. And he was like, listen, the letter went out. You missed it. How can you be so cruel with the people who you work for you? You're the postmaster. It's just ridiculous. But it even got deeper. Once my representative came into office, mind you, he was out. He wasn't even sworn in yet. But once he came in, he was like, oh, you're the one who they were talking about. I was like, what happened? See, the whole time I was working there for like 3 or 4 weeks before I even met him. I was just working for him. And he goes, well, you're the person. I said, well, what happened? He said, my pharmacist, when I went in, to get my medicine, the pharmacist said, thank you. And he was like, what are you thanking me for? He said, because you're the one who took care of the open enrollment. See, it wasn't only for the postmaster or for the post office. It was open enrollment for anybody who was on that insurance. That letter did not go out to a bunch of people in the same county. Just think about that. So once he thanked him, he was like, oh, okay, thank you. But he really wasn't sure what he talked about until he came in the office and he spoke to me. And he was like, I want to thank you for what you did. That's just my job. That's my job, to take care of the people. That's my job, to investigate what's going on out there with my constituents. I took that job personally. That's why I was hired 4 times. I worked for 4 different representatives. They kept calling me back. I started off just as a temporary, but I stayed on it because whenever I got those phone calls, I was about my business. And that's just that. My friend was about to get his car towed, and they was going to, take his car from the police. Was like, yeah, we're going to take your car. I was just like, well, I work for the Ohio House of Representatives, and I want to know why you're taking this man's car. They was like, tell him to come outside, and we're going to talk to him. That car stayed right there. No, you're not going to treat my people any old kind of way. And I don't understand why the people who work on Capitol Hill do not have the same fervor that just people who work in your local legislation do. They don't have the same care. I just don't get it. Like, we know somebody else is pulling the strings because they do not care about the American people. And you can't convince me that they do. I wasn't upset that they ransacked the doggone White House. I wasn't. It put a scare, it put a bug in some of them, and let them know, listen, it's real. I wasn't upset, I was disappointed. It's real out here, Pelosi. It's real out here, McConnell. It's real. People are real. That's just the way I feel about it. Sorry I got a little upset, but I got family members that are going through, freaking going through it. You know what I'm saying? They need to cut it out. I don't think there should be a $2,000 check that comes out and then that's it. I think there should be a $2,000 check, every goddamn month for the people who need it. Now, I do understand that sending a blanket amount of checks out to everyone is not the wisest action. But here's what I don't get. How do you not know? I mean, you have our taxes. Most of those checks you're sending out direct deposit. You know who you're sending out to according to their taxes. You can look at someone, what they're making. You look at our accounts all the time. Listen, when it came to child support, you guys wasn't this careful. Child support, they take your money right out of your account in a heartbeat. And some of these guys going through that. They'll dig right in your account and the government will take your money, boom, like it's nothing. All of a sudden, you can't put money into those accounts. You know who got money and who don't. You know who's still making money and who's not. You know who's still working and who's not. You guys control everything. You know exactly who's working. You know down to the T in every house. And you just did an audit. You can't tell me you guys don't know who's who. They could send out those checks right now today. But they won't. They want to play with us. Listen, I think they wanted to start that doggone civil war. That's what I think. You starve people for 6 months, you think it ain't going to be war? I think they wanted those people to come down there. They just didn't think they were going to bust into the White House. I really do. I think those cabinet members were damn well aware and wanted. I think they're all agents of chaos at this point. I think that the whole damn thing is built to fail. I think that America is built to implode on itself, and something else is supposed to come out of there. I do now. At this point, I do, because there's no way on God's green earth that we could be the richest in the so-called best country in the world, and you've only given your people $2,000 in the last 8 months. I think you want it to fall. I think Pelosi and all the rest of them want this to fall. I think they're all in on it. I think Mitch McConnell's in on it, and every single person in the White House is in on it. I think they all want the system to fall. And I think somebody else is pulling their strings. People who are doing okay, I think they're pulling their string. The 1%, whoever, the 7 families, whoever there is that's controlling this whole thing, I think they all want it to just implode. I think they want people to eat themselves out of house and home. You can't tell me you don't want those 35,000 people just in one state to be homeless. You could have stopped that a long time ago. What about the homeless situation in California? It's getting ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You can't tell me you didn't do that on purpose. You did that on purpose. They want it to fall down. They know these militia members are out here. They want this whole thing to fall down. They want a war. I think the White House wants war. I do. I can't see it any other way. I can see if you were getting money, if you were taking care of the people, just like every other country is. There's a bunch of countries who don't even have this problem. They don't even have half the military that we got. They don't have this problem. Some of them are giving $3,000 to their constituents a month. $3,000. Now, some people were getting money who were on not welfare, but unemployment. So I think some of their unemployment, they were getting like an extra $600 on their unemployment. I don't know if that's still going on, but when you look at that, okay, so you have you got people who are on Social Security. Those people weren't affected, but they still get a stimulus check, right? Social Security doesn't give you enough money for you to live off of. It doesn't. Your SSDI, that wasn't made for you to live off of. That was made so maybe if you can go back to work, it gets you back into the system. Your unemployment check was not made for you to stay on unemployment. It isn't. It's a temporary fix, and that's it. And eventually you find work and go, well, now there is no work. There's no work. All the factories are shut down. There's no work. So the people on unemployment were getting an extra $600, and I think they were lengthening the amount of money that they were getting, which is understandable. I see that type of thing I'm with, but you know who's on unemployment. So you gave them $600, boom. So you knocked off look at it in the subsection. You knocked all the unemployment people off, boom. You got all the people who was on SSI and SSDI, boom. You knocked all of them off. You gave them all their stimulus check, direct deposit, boom. Okay, so you're knocking those people off. Now you got the people who are still working, boom. You got the people who are still working, and the amount of money that they're making, you already know what they're making because of taxes. You know what they're reporting. You know this. And if they're making less or more money than they're reporting, it's their fault because they're not reporting it. But you already know because of taxes. You see, every month, every week, you see what the tax is. It's automated. So you know who's getting money. And now you have the people who are no longer working and now they're poor. You know who these people are. Listen, you don't have to send a stimulus check to everyone. But it's not like you're sitting there thinking, I have no idea who needs a stimulus check, when you know exactly who needs a stimulus check. You already know. You know it down to the letter, as a matter of fact. But you rather send the king of United Arab Emirates $90 billion or whatever $1 billion for to protect him. This is the stuff that's happening now. This is what they're doing. They're sending billions of dollars to other countries to protect these other countries. This is what's going on now. This is why there's going to be a civil war. It's got to be war. There's no way the country can sustain itself at this rate. People who had a stash are losing it. People are becoming homeless every day. You took away the stay of homelessness. You took away the stay of your electric, water, gas bill. You took away, so you're not getting cut off. That's no more. If you don't have the money to pay for it, they're cutting your lights off. All of these things lead up to war. These are all recipes of war. All. I'm hoping somebody can tell me any way around it. All the militia members, they're all ready for this. You know who the militia members. This is what they just did. They came to a Black Panther Party leader. They came to his house. Well, it's going to be more than a race war. It's going to be more than okay. So, well, let me get this out about the Black Panther because I want to come back to you. They came to his Black Party member's house, and it was the FBI. And they said that they were there because he's talking to them in his house, like right at his door. And he got all three of their names. It's on World Star Hip Hop. Let's see if you guys can hear this. Let me pull this up because I found this to be absolutely stunning that they went this far. See if I can pull this up. Just hang on for a minute. All right, let me see if I can pull this up. Hopefully you guys can hear me.
Can you say what the day is? Yeah, January 15th, I have the FBI.
All right, so.
Can you say what the day is? Yeah, the New African Black Panther Party. I had the FBI at my that's questioning me today about the events in Washington, right?
That's right.
These are the, so this is the FBI right here. Can you just identify one by one?
Yeah. So, okay. So especially my group from the FBI, right? So we're here to get that on record.
All right, just can you introduce? Okay.
We're good here? All right. All we want to know is that we know that we're touching you said they don't represent the open call them 7 responders. Now, what happened down the Capitol, right? There's a lot of people who are playing along that same line of thinking that infiltrated some of the groups down there.
Well, let me be clear, because I don't want to go long with this. Let me be clear and say that the New African Black Panther Party did not partake in, will not partake in any activities in Washington, D.C. We do not support the Proud Brothers, the reactionary white wings, nor are we a fan of Donald Trump. So I want to be on record. This is the FBI questioning Shaka Zulu. We do not and will not participate in any events down there. And so that's on the record. And I will have to end this conversation here without my lawyer being present. All power to the people.
You understand that? What happened there? All right, let me clean that up a little bit for you if you didn't understand what that was. Now that punishment is coming out for anybody who incited. Okay, let me step back a minute. Whenever they get these rappers, these rappers, 6ix9ine and all these people, and I don't follow them, but when it comes to court cases, I like to listen to what's going on. Whenever they get these rappers and they get one and then they get, a whole bunch of other ones, they usually get them because they're guilty by association. Some people call it RICO or whatever, but they get them because they're guilty by association. So you can get penalized for, and heavily charged in federal prison for being guilty by association. All right. So, and the FBI is known to do this. They're known to get people like this. And you think, hey, I'm not the one who pulled the trigger. Yeah, but you were the driver and or you the one who incited this. Now, they have arrested a lot of people simply for inciting some type of conundrum or brouhaha, something that it turned out to be illegal in some shape, form, or fashion. So when I hear them talking to this Black Panther Party member, they said that there is a splinter group called the 7 something. Nonetheless, in this splinter group of Black people were down at the White House and involved in the insurrection that happened on the 6th. So they came to his house to question him about a group that he's not associated with, but nonetheless still are somewhat a part of the Black Panther Party. They're trying to loop all these people in together. And they're trying to get them for being guilty by association. And this is why the young man said, no group that I'm involved in. The Black Panther has nothing to do with this. We would never have anything to do with this. Whoever you're talking about would not even go nowhere near any white supremacists, Donald Trump, or anything, yada yada yada. And they picked this individual by something he posted on Facebook. He was talking about the splinter group of the Black Panther Party, and so they were saying that these people were down there, which they weren't, and so they came to his door. You see how far they're trying to reach in order to get people who had anything to do with this insurrection. You know what I'm saying? You see that, you would think, well, that's just a little crazy. No, that's the FBI. That's the FBI for you. These are the type of things that this way you got to be careful about what you say and what you post. But nonetheless, they already knew the answer to that. They weren't there to arrest him. They were there to get him to say something and then come back and arrest him later. That's what they were there to do. They wanted him. That's why they gave their name. They didn't come in and barge in the door with guns, but none of that. There was 3 of them, and you believe they were armed. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't come there like they came to old girl's house and and blew her up 28 times. Breonna Taylor. That's not what they did. They came there like they were your friend and we're here to talk to you. No, they're not your friend. They're not your friend. All right. So somebody had a question. It's going to be a race war. Well, not a question, but a statement. I'm assuming that that's a question. Rudell. I'm assuming it's a non-question. If you wanted me to go into that, I will. So I'll wait till your response if you're still here. Yeah, Joe Biden won. Now we're going to see what he's going to do with it. But yeah, so war. I have been saying this. There's going to be another lockdown. There's no doubt about that. So, yeah. So I've been talking about a lot of this lockdown stuff and, when the first ones came out. Okay, yeah, I thought that was a non-question. But I'm gonna speak to Kitty Candy. So I made videos. I don't know if some of you are new to my channel, but I made videos talking about the lockdown and how the proceedings would go, just with my military mind. The thing about the military is there's not a lot that changes when it comes to proceedings. When something happens, their reaction is usually the same. There's just more technology involved. I was in the Army 30 years ago. They're still doing the same thing. And I know this because I live next to an Army facility, right next to it. And I can walk out my house and look right across the street, and they're over there doing the exercises. They'll be named. I cover a lot of different things on this channel. But they'll be named on what I'm talking about. So you can just look at which ones, but do it by date. So whenever the first lockdown start happening, this was about 6 months ago. So you can kind of, I don't know if I'm able to. I'll look a couple of them up and try to link them in here so you don't have to do all that searching around. But you're gonna have to give me a minute to get through some of the conversation first, and I'll do that and then put a link, and you can start listening to some of those. But the reason why I talk about it, those events and acknowledgement, I actually went to an event, unbeknownst to me. Walked right into one, and then the next day I actually knew it was happening, so I went to an event. So I have footage of, people getting pepper sprayed, and I left. I have asthma. Once I saw the pepper spray, I dipped. But they were telling people to go home, and it was right here downtown. Now, my opinion, Mr. Huff, as far as the war is concerned, I said all that to say this. I know that there is a war coming, and I've been talking about this war for actually years because I saw the disregard that the police had for Black people, and it wasn't getting any better. And every time Black people marched, another black person got killed, and then march and then get killed. And it's like they want this to go on. And when I saw once it all kicked off and the George Floyd, things going on, and then you have the different splinter groups, Antifa or whatever, whoever they are, and Black Lives Matter, and just the regular people who don't have no title out there, who are just angry about this. You saw the police actually damaging their own vehicles. Wait, what? They were damaging their own vehicles. They were putting rocks out for you to. They were writing profanity all over their vehicles. They are egging this whole thing on. They're just like, yeah, keep going. So I couldn't help but think, why would you do that? It's simply because they want all that is happening. It's all scripted. They want all this to happen. They do. They want all of these things to happen. To me, they want mass starvation, because that is what's going to happen. And mass starvation is what's going to kick off the war. It's going to be a fight for food. Yeah, burning buildings and then blaming it on other groups. The police and the CIA, they're committing a lot of crimes they're supposed to be protecting. Something's wrong here. The picture that we have of America is so not true. We think that there is justice for all. It's not justice for all. They want the killing to start. Listen, they hung 5 people this year. 5 people got hung in 2020. They're still hanging people. But you can't tell me there's justice, truth, in the American way. You can't tell me that these people are for the truth, the light, and God. They're not. The devil is in the details. Literally. There is something evil afoot. And I mean, it's almost right here in front of our face. And I think about time it hits us square in the face, it's going to be too late for the majority of us to react. Can you get on a plane and leave the country? Can you leave the country right now? Can you? Can you leave the country? I don't think you can leave the country. I'm not sure, but I don't think you can. I mean, drink that in. If this country goes to war, where would it be safe to be? If it goes to war. If they shut down every border in the name of coronavirus, and then this country goes to war, what can you do? Hide? Eventually, somebody will find you. Shoot everyone? Eventually, you'll run out of bullets. You got to come out sometime because you got to eat. I don't care if you got 10 years worth of whatever in a great hiding place. If enough people come to see you, you're going to run out of food. You're going to run out of bullets. You're going to run out. What is the likelihood and the capability of the country being shut down? What is the likelihood and the capability of the country being closed off? Because that's what's happening already. Can you go to another country right now? Or are those countries not taking people in? See, we know we still have shipments coming in from the country because we still get things from, other countries, China, the supplies, the GDP. Trump is finished. They only have today and tomorrow to do that. I don't understand that. Trump's going to shut it down, martial law. Trump is not going to shut it down. Okay, you're talking amongst yourselves. Insurrection Act. Oh, the Insurrection Act? Oh, you mean what, Article 25 or whatever that is? Well, Mike Pence wasn't going to do that anyway. Mike Pence he has a healthy fear of Donald Trump, and he should. He should. And he wasn't sure about Amendment 25 anyway. There's some wording in there that he wasn't sure about. And also, Donald Trump wanted Mike Pence to stop the swearing of Joe Biden. And Mike Pence doesn't have the power to do that. Like I said, Donald Trump is not a politician. He doesn't know a lot of political ins and outs that, well, any normal politician would. He just doesn't know. But nonetheless, so if this country goes to war with itself, it's going to be for supplies. It's going to be for survival. Because this is the hand that they're dealing us. It takes nothing. It's a phone call, apparently, for them to shut down something now. It took a phone call for them not to release help for the people who were locked in the White House. It's a simple phone call, and the military did not answer that phone call. They were like, nope, we're not going to answer. They literally didn't pick up the phone. The military, well, the cabinet members were not in control of them. The cabinet members were not in control of the military. There were people in the military at the upper levels willing to let the cabinet members die. By a mob of angry people. We went from 2020 back to the 1400s really, 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 really quick in one day. One day. What about we're trying to pay people to take vaccines? I believe, okay, so let me be careful here. I don't know the Insurrection. I don't know if that's the same act that we're talking about. If the Insurrection Act is 25, Act 25 or whatever that is. I thought that was depowering the president. If the president is not mentally sound to lead the country, I think that's some of the verbiage that's inside of it. So you might be talking about something that I'm not aware of, is what I'm saying. So, okay, so the coronavirus. I think that the coronavirus is real. I don't take any chances. I wear a mask when I go out, when I'm around people. But if I'm outside, I usually It depends. If I'm in close quarters with somebody outside, then yeah. But if I'm a good distance from them, then no. But whenever I go indoors, in any stores, I mask up. Yeah, that's Insurrection Act of 1805. Okay. You know what? I could look it up if you want to. I mean, it's going to be miles long, but I can pull it up on, and we can listen to it if you want to do that, if you want to get a clear picture for the rest of us and try to drink in what it is and what it means. I can do that if that's what you want to do. But nonetheless, so I believe the coronavirus is very real. And it's not because I know a bunch of people that had it. I do know some nurses, and they're just like, yeah, it's real. But that isn't what made me say it was real. It was the reaction to it that was real. Coronavirus is real enough for the country to shut down. Okay, none of my families have it. I do know people who I spoke to, I don't know them personally, but they were like, yeah, I've had it. As a matter of fact, I do know one person who's had it. So, yeah. So it's very real to me. Now, having said that, the potential that the coronavirus has over the world is obvious. It could shut down each country to where only supplies are coming in and out of these countries. Wuhan, China, nobody is allowed to leave. There's a second strand of coronavirus that's coming out of Wuhan already. But if you listen, the police and the military surround Wuhan. So yeah, coronavirus is very, very serious to me. If you try to get through those borders, they're going to deal with you in a very abrupt and violent way. So not playing over there at all with coronavirus. So it's very real, very real. And it positions those who are in power, it gives them an excuse to do a lot of evil. And one of them is to wipe out people in mass numbers. So let's go with what we know. In one of these foreign countries, European countries, I forgot what country it was, but it's also on World Star Hip Hop. I can pull it up if you want. They had 13 people die, and that number has gone up. And they were all elderly. But the doctor who was explaining it said, we expected some people to die from it. Population control, Georgia Guidestones. So they expected people to die from it. Now, these were elderly people who died, so now they're saying we have to keep an eye on giving the vaccine to elderly people. And he also said they had pre-existing conditions. Now, you got to start thinking, how much of the populace is elderly, and how much of the populace has pre-existing conditions? And I do not know these numbers. I don't know how many of us are in that danger zone and where the number elderly actually starts. Is it 65 and up? 60, 70 and up? I don't know where it starts. And I don't know all of the pre-existing conditions, asthma and the common cold, the flu, and things along that line. But some are obviously more deadly than others. So if you're already struggling with asthma and you get injected, you're at the age of 65, you're not going to make it. Now we got to look at how many people fall into that focus group. And you can start doing statistics on that and, come up with a large number of people who will die if they get it and if they don't. These are people who are in the proverbial rock and a hard place. That's it and that's all. So I saw a young lady on WorldStar a couple weeks ago. Her attitude towards the coronavirus is, I'm not going to wear a mask. I'm not going to wear a mask. I don't have to. Everywhere I go, I don't have to wear a mask. Nobody bothers me. Go Trump. I'm not going to wear a mask. Support Trump. Week later, my aunt is in a hospital and she has CV. My grandfather is also in a hospital with CV. And a couple days later, both of those people died. Now she wears a mask. Who's to say that you weren't around any of those people not wearing a mask and you didn't give it to them? There are people who have no symptoms whatsoever, nonetheless they're tested positive. Then you get around people who are elderly with pre-existing conditions and not having pre-existing conditions. They get it. Now they're on a breathing machine. A couple days later, they're dead. You see where I'm going here? It's not an exact science. It's not an exact statistics. We don't know. We don't know if a person who has the sniffles and is 60 years old is going to die if they get the vaccine or if they don't. But we know that there are people who are getting the vaccine. They're in their 40s and now they're coming out with Bell's palsy. Some people are coming out with, they're having, their bodies are, their nervous system is doing weird things, almost, they're not in control and they're shaking and their tongue is, and there's all kind of things that's happening to them where they're alive, but their nervous system is just shutting down. Their brain is not giving the right signal to their motor functions anymore, and they're doing a lot of this shaking and violently shaking. Can't go back to work. And these are people with no pre-existing conditions, and none of them are elderly. So being that there's so much gray in the vaccine, not to mention you have to get it twice. There's so much gray. There's so much I don't know. And there's so much imminent danger in the vaccine. It's easy to wipe out millions of people with it. It'd be easy. Once they have this rollout that they're doing, I mean, if you look at the population that's in between 65 and 85, you can wipe those people out with just a thought. You can wipe those people out without giving them the vaccine. You know why? Because you didn't give them the vaccine. Most of those people live in what? Nursing homes. So if one person in a nursing home of, let's say, 50 people, and you know how nursing homes are, it's pretty much free range, you come and go, but most people aren't going too far, but that's just it. They're sleeping right next to each other. They're huddled together playing their games. They don't speak loud most of the time, so they sit within 6 feet of each other. You know what I'm saying? That's their community. How hard would it be for coronavirus to infect the whole camp within 2 days? If one young person walked in there just to visit her Mima, one baby who didn't get the vaccination yet because they're not giving them the children or they didn't have enough in that area. Mom, dad, the son and the daughter and got it, the 2 tweens and, the young adult son, he got it, but the 6-year-old didn't get it. They didn't have enough for her to get it. And she's not in danger because 6-year-olds are not getting wiped out. So, in everybody's mind, everyone is safe because we all got it, so we're not going to spread it. And she is not susceptible to death. They go to visit Mima. They're in a separate room. Everybody takes off their mask. Mima gets it and doesn't even know it. Visitation is over. She goes right back among the herd. Boom. Everyone within 2-3 days has it. Most of them don't know it. Symptoms shows up 2 weeks later. The first death happens within the 3rd week. Next thing you know, 5-6 people are done within a month. And the reality of the day is the majority of the people are going to lose their life within 2 months. We have maybe 5 people left. How hard would it be for coronavirus to wipe out the elderly who received and didn't receive? It's just not a scenario that is unfathomable. This is what I see. Now, another thing about me is I have a degree in health administration. So my desire at one point is to, what I might do? I might become a contact tracer. A contact tracer talks to people who came in contact with a particular disease. The reason why I might do this is because I want to be an epidemiologist. So I'll get my master's degree in public health and then a doctorate in epidemiology. I don't know if that's going to pan out that way, but it's an interest of mine. So I watch and listen to ways that have been affecting people and think, well, where can this go? And how can it get there? Which is pretty much what an epidemiologist does. So, okay, so like on YouTube, you see people hunting coyotes, dogs, etc., because their population is out of control and they're eating everything up. So the same thing with humans. Well, as far as the population control, yeah. But, okay, so an inhumane thing, of course, would be to go out and start slaughtering people. Except under the guise of, in order for the majority of us to live, these people have to die. I don't think we're going to be coming down to that anytime soon, but we've seen enough movies on things like that, but I don't think that's where we're at. But at this juncture, I just think things can go a lot worse real quick. And I'm not a doomsday guy. You know, I don't walk around with AR-15s and stuff like that. I don't have any guns. I'm just a person who thinks of how far it can go before it gets better, or just how far it can go. And I've always been that, you know, 3 steps ahead type of thinking person, even though I might not execute like that. I've always think that, what could happen if I do this? Like my neighbor put on, you know, dented up my new truck. And people are like, why didn't you go and beat him up? Well, because I would get evicted. It'd be easy for me to go and beat him up. So I told him, you touch my truck again, I'm gonna beat you up. But because of my size and my demeanor and stature, people like, I thought you would have went and beat him up. Yeah, but it would be harder for me to find another place to live under an eviction than it would be to go over there and beat this man up. You see what I mean? So you have to play the long game. Now, the long game in this scenario is it's just simple. It's one word. It's survival. There's nothing fancy about it. It's protect yourself at all times, and your family. And if you can see or foresee something about to happen that is not advantageous to your life, then get out of the way. The options of getting out of the way are narrowing down. And it already started with the country shutting down and other countries not accepting people. When that started happening, I didn't look at it as, oh, those countries are just trying to protect themselves. Only. I looked at it as there's a wall going up around each country. Like when the Ebola virus, you know, popped off and then it came over here, a guy who had it from Africa came over here. They were on that so quick, and it was boom. No shutting down the country, no nothing. They were on that guy, found out who it was, found out any nurses that he dealt with, quarantined them, boom, over with, tested everybody else. Ebola didn't get any further. When the AIDS virus hit, it was the total opposite of that. Because when the Ebola virus came over here, they knew a few things. One is they knew who had it. Two, they knew what it could do and how it affects a population. So they've seen it before. They're just like, we know this guy has it. We need to get on this person and block off this area, do this, that, the third, and boom, we're done with it. When AIDS came over here, they've never seen it before. But they saw the herpes virus. But the herpes virus wasn't killing anybody. Syphilis didn't kill anyone until the Tuskegee experiments. So these are sexually transmitted disease, cold sores and whatnot, but they're not killing people. But AIDS was a whole new animal because, of course, it shut down your immune system. But when it got here, they didn't know what it was and ignored that it was, even though they knew that there was something going on. They knew that white men started falling off the planet. But they weren't sure why. They knew where it was happening at. They even broke it down to the person who started it. They had an epicenter in everything. They had ground zero. But nonetheless, they did not react to it in time for it to stop, for it spreading to stop. They ignored it. They said, we know something's going on. And we know it's deadly. Ish. It's deadly-ish. Because it was happening to the pinnacle of society. It was happening to gay white men. And these are people who control the country. And these are very popular people. So it was ignored all the way up until it hit somebody who was one of the most popular people on the planet. And you guys all know who that was. And once it hit him, it was, we need to do something. If you watch the movie called The Band Played On, you'll learn about it. Or, Harvey Milk or, things along that line. But when the leader of Queen, Freddie Mercury, died from it, is when they went into full swing and started getting after it as much as possible, but it was already out of control, and 35 million people have died from AIDS. You can look at it one way or another. You could say population control. It started off as population control. AIDS didn't come from this country. AIDS came from Africa, but it didn't come from the Africans. It came from the Dutch. And it wasn't called AIDS, it was called something else. But they gave it to them and they convinced the South Africans that it was an inoculation to another disease. So the Africans lined up in droves and took it. That same thing has just happened here a couple months ago. And in South Africa, they did the same thing. They went right back to where the AIDS had started and did the same thing to them. They set up all kind of camps to give them this vaccine and had even people over there saying, yeah, I want to get the vaccine because it will help my country. Well, some of the South Africans were already aware that it's not advantageous for them to take it, and came and wrecked every single one of them. So population control, is that what this is? I can't say it is, but I can't say it can't be used as population control. See what I mean? Like, I can't go, yeah, Bill Gates, you're trying to knock off 35 million people. But come on. If you weaponize this, it's easy. Be easy to weaponize this. Be easy to. And knock off a third? That's what you'd be knocking off. You'd be knocking off a third of the population. If you knocked off the elderly. You hit everyone from 65 and over. Who did or didn't take it. Who were just exposed to it. And you could sit back and say it wasn't our fault. How hard would it be to do that? At this point, it wouldn't be hard at all. Is that what they're doing? I can't say that they are. I hope they're not doing that. I mean, but with the lackluster results coming out of the White House, it is clear that the White House is not on the side of the people. It is clear that they want to incite war. It's not even a guess now. Like when they talk about the stimulus check, I don't sit around with bated breath for the stimulus check. Yeah, everything else is by design. Bill Gates is in on it. But I don't sit around with bated breath thinking, oh, I'm about to get this money. I don't do that. Because if they wanted to take care of us, they have every means to do that. America has been taking care of the whole world for the longest time. We have. Any dictator, how many dictators have we knocked off recently? Saddam Hussein, dead. Gaddafi, dead. How many dictators have we knocked off and then put our people in or somebody there who we can control? Because that's what they're doing. They knock somebody off, they'll put somebody there who they can control. And usually when they knock somebody off, we go to war with them. We test out our new Abrams tank. We take the new M1 out for a drive and go kill people. Or we test out, we say, hey, these people over here are insurrectionists who have, they're just living their life. Hey, these people over here, we know that they're insurrectionists. We know that these people in Islamabad who are Muslims, jihads, we know those people are over there in Islamabad. We know they hate us. They're insurrectionists. And Abdul Mahad Ghalif, that guy's the leader of them. So what do? We send a drone just to take away the human guilt of it. We fly a drone. Over their head, and we blow them up. And the drone is just for sight, for line of sight. Then we push a missile that's sitting out on one of these aircraft carriers 10 miles just to blow up one person. We blow everyone up. Everyone within earshot. Everybody's dying. Kids and everything. Boom. Hey, America saved. We feel better now. Hey, we saved your life. By raising hands, how many of you have fear of a terrorist attack from another country? You raise your hand. How many of you walk down the street and see a Muslim and you're clutching your purse, or you're locking your car door, or you're running to the other side of the street, you're whispering in your neighbor's ear, you don't want to work around them, you don't want to. How many of you do that? How many of you see somebody speaking in Arabic and you have a fear that, you know what, a car is about to blow up? How many of you think those people have a bomb on them? Because I don't. I never have. And I was in during the first war. And when we went to war, I tried to go over there, and thank God I didn't. But I was looking at the TV screen in my BDUs, battle dress uniforms, and I was thinking, why the hell did we just invade Saddam Hussein? Why did we invade him? Then they come to find out he was our ally. We put him there. We put him into power. That's not true. That's not true. That's not true at all. They were not exterminated. 9/11 was caused by who? It was caused by, what's his name? Who was sitting up in the mountains of Kabul? Where the CIA went up there into the mountains of Kabul and gave those guys their guns. Bin Laden. Bin Laden, right? I can't think that way about people. Yeah, Bin Laden, right? Bin Laden, Osama Bin Laden. So the CIA goes up there and teaches those people in the mountains of Kabul how to fight. Gives them guns. Hey, here, fight. Go fight. Bang, ping, pow, blow everybody up. Fight. And now you tell me that the same people who we taught how to fight came over here and hijacked 3 airplanes, hit the Pentagon, hit the Pentagon. The Pentagon knew there was an attack coming. And the Pentagon knew. And what vehicle was outside the Pentagon in the grass? What was that put a hole in the Pentagon? What about the airplane in Pennsylvania? All these attacks were so suspicious when you investigated them. Hell, the investigated airplane went out there and was just like there was no airplane to investigate. No, I'm not going to go into it because people are, you're a conspiracy theorist. I'm not. I'm a realist. And if an investigator says there wasn't anything, then I'm going to believe the investigator. Anyways, the Bin Laden family all live here in America. You know what they do for a living? They're architects. And they're still alive. And what America did, the FBI, whoever, is went and gathered their family up and took them to safety. Why would we take Bin Laden's family to safety after he so-called murdered all these people? And then why, when we killed him, we scattered his ashes out to the ocean? So we have no body to say this is who killed 3, that the worst attack on American soil, and we have scattered ashes? Not buying that at all. Do you really think the Insurrection Act, someone said that, do you really think the Insurrection Act, do I really think, I don't understand your statement. I don't understand the statement or your question. Do I really think the Insurrection Act will what? Or has or believe it to be? Or you might not have been talking to me. I'm sorry. Nonetheless, you guys, there's someone that lives in Boston, Massachusetts. Okay, you guys are talking about yourselves. So do I think that CV can be weaponized? Yes. I think that any disease can be weaponized. And I think that Americans are becoming weaker by the second. If you don't feed the people. Okay, listen to this. You know why the Black Plague was so lethal to Rome? For one, do you know how the Black Plague got into Rome? When the Black Plague hit Rome, it was 1 million people strong. These weren't all people who were from Rome. They weren't Romans by birth. They were Romans by the same way we are Americans. You can come into the country and become an American. They were Romans by citizenship. They were Romans because they fought for Rome. So the Romans were brilliant and stupid. They had trade routes, city streets, if you will. And the people who are unaware of the Black Plague will, of course, come in and out of the city by these streets. Now, the Black Plague was started, you guys probably already know this stuff, but the Black Plague came from a mixture of blood. And the blood came from pigs mixing with rats on ships. And it was the vehicle for the Black Plague was the same vehicle for the Zika virus and a bunch of other viruses, mosquitoes. And so once the Black Plague came into the city, it started devouring pretty much everyone in the city. Now, the Romans at that time were kind of in a civil, not a civil war, but they were in a bad state of affairs because of their leaders. And one of their leaders, well, the emperor at the time didn't want to be emperor. So he left it up to his best friend to be emperor. And his best friend secretly wanted his position. But he, you know, of course, he wasn't the emperor. He couldn't have been the emperor. He could only be as high as he was. So once the emperor found out that his friend was trying to usurp his position, he found out how he was trying to usurp his position. His friend had, once he got into power, told the nations, I think especially Egypt, he told them that we're bringing in grain, you know, stash spot. So he was stashing food. So the people started, and of course they were starving because grain and wheat is how a lot of them ate, you know, bread and things along that line. So what's happening was they were getting sick, and they were getting sicker faster, and then of course dying because they were hungry. Their body's immune system couldn't fight the Black Plague. If you're weak, you can't fight. Well, eventually the emperor found out what was going on and found out who it was, and pretty much took this man and threw him out to the people, because the people figured out who was doing it too, and the people tore him apart. But nonetheless, we're seeing the same thing. That same thing that happened then is happening now. If you really look at the wider scope of things, just open it up and look. You have a disease that's ravaging the people. You have a nation that's weakened because of infighting coming from the leadership. We have that now. We have that right now. And eventually you have starvation. And starvation added with, of course, the disease where you can't fight because you're not healthy, wipes out thousands and thousands and millions of people in no time. Now, in their case, it was thousands. But it just wipes people out in no time. That could happen right now. Right now, today, right this second. That could happen. And we know this because when they first started shutting down the country, what was the main thing people were going for? Supplies. They went and raided the stores. They raided the stores. The supply trucks couldn't get over the road fast enough. Biden did win in the fair election. All hail Supreme Leader Biden. Long live the time. Changed the red to white. Well, long live Biden, but I mean, he'll do 8 years. He'll do 8 years. But I'm just telling you, people, that same thing that happened to Rome can happen now. People can, what are we looking at? 2 million people dead already. 2 million dead within eight months. That isn't startling to anyone. 2 million. 200,000 in this country. 10% of the people who died in the world from coronavirus are here in America. 10% of the corona deaths happened right here within 8 months. You don't give people money to get food. You crash the economy. You send the money somewhere else and then say we don't have any. They told Joe Biden that his stimulus package deal or whatever it is, they didn't like it because it was part of the stimulus package that came out for President Trump. And it was going to put us in debt like 3 times worse than what we are. It's like, are you listening to yourselves? You guys control the banks. You control the banks. You put money into our bank accounts. You control everything. Everything. They have us. $2 miles? What are you talking about? Oh, 2 mil? 2 mil is deep. That's in 8 months. That's since the discovery of coronavirus. 10% here. 10% lost right here in this country. That's 10% of the population of the world. America has lost 10%. It's just eerily similar to history. It's so spooky. When you look at history and you look at what's happening now, it's the same goddamn thing. It's the same thing that happened to Rome. It's the same thing. A catastrophic loss of human life before it got better. And then eventually, hell, how many times has Rome been on fire? Literally. And their own hubris and stupidity is why Rome fell. They did the same thing we did. They attacked everyone. We have wars with people that the American people don't even care about. I don't care about the Muslims. I don't care about them. I don't care about somebody in Iraq and Iran doing whatever. Let them live. I don't walk down the street and fear them. I walk down the street and fear the police. The police is who I fear more than anyone. You can't tell me you're protecting me when you're the one who I see slaughter my people. They just shot 2 people here. Blew them up. One guy had a cell phone. The other guy was coming in his house with groceries. He had food in his hand. Blew them both away. Black men. Killed them both. Within a week's time, the same police department shot and murdered those people. for absolutely no reason. I'm not interested in Muslims coming and blowing anything up. Matter of fact, I don't remember the last time Muslims blew anything up. Who are they? What, Boston? Why we stop repeating history? Because the same people are in control. The Roman system is, I mean, we still have the Senate, we still have the House, we still have the same. We're doing the same thing they did. I mean, we still go out and start wars with country to divide and conquer and take over their country. That's what we do. When we go and we put somebody in leadership that we want there, we just came and took over your country. We just invaded Iraq or Iran. We invaded Iran. We just did that. Our soldiers are in Iran right now. And the Iranians are going, why are you here? We did the same thing the Romans did. Until people got sick of them. Then there was war on every side of Rome. I mean, the Germanic tribes. Listen, the Germanic tribes that Rome conquered started to fight with the Romans in order to understand them and then turn on them. This is how much they hated them. I mean, 20,000 soldiers were lost in one battle. These are 20,000 Romans gone in one battle. Even Alexander the Great. People are like, oh, he was such a great guy. He was an idiot. He was an idiot. He went around conquering everyone that he could. Divide and conquer, that's what we're going to do. But he wanted to war so much that his own people just got tired of marching with him. They're like, where are we going now? We're going to do what? We're going to kill who? What, man, we're done. Fell off a horse and died. All that damn conquering. No negotiating, just conquer. And then named every place he conquered Alexandria. They're just so stupid. I don't look at these people and revere. Oh my God, I want to be like Alexander the Great. I'd be like, you was a stupid. You committed mass murder until you finally died. Probably burning in hell somewhere. It makes no sense. We're doing the same thing that they did. Just look at history, listen to it, read it. This is the exact same blueprint. This is why we don't create our own history. And when we go to space, which we can't, but when we go to space, like they're telling you that space is out there, which it isn't. If space was what they say it is, and we actually went to space, what do you think is going to happen? There's going to be war among the stars. Because we have the same mentality as they did back in AD. AD! We still ain't figured stuff out 2,000, 3,000 years later. We're still doing the same thing. And listen, I ain't blaming this all on white people because Idi Amin was crazy. He still is. I think he's still alive. He's black. Nigerians, their crookedness, they're controlled by America. Crooked over there. They even got songs about how crooked they are. I mean, come on. Boston, when he was talking about some of the sand people that, I'm not going to call them sand people, that survived through the Bush administration. sounds like United States didn't don't like to mind their business and always. What happened when they went to Mogadishu? When they went over there to Mogadishu, you saw the movie Black Hawk Down? That's what Mogadishu. That's what it was about. I mean, the United States is treacherous. But now the people are seeing how treacherous it is. I'm telling you, there's going to be civil war. And they want it to be. And I don't know if it's population control. I don't know what it is, but they want blood. I don't know if it's sacrificing to some god that they have. Tell you what, the White House is going to change, though. The White House, as you see it, is going to be different. It already is. It's already different now. There's a big ass gate around it now. It's already changed in one day. On the 7th, it changed everything. Insurrection on the 6th, on the 7th, changed. It's going to get worse. White House is going to be worse. And see, the thing about the White House, it had all the security beefed up in case someone from another country came in and tried to kill the president. Had all these snipers and all this. None of them showed up on the 6th. All this tripped wiring and banging and all this other stuff. All this high security yippity yap. None of that happened on the 6th. And you think that we're the only ones who saw that? What happened to all these dogs? And remember the woman that they killed? That black woman that they killed a couple years ago? She's in her car. They blew that woman to pieces. They shot her up. They chasing her around. She's trying to get away from them. Oh, she was coming at us with her car, and so we had to protect the president because he was in trouble because she could have hit him. She happened right in front of the White House. Well, ain't one thing about the goddamn president, but you're so hopped up on protecting the president, you shot and killed this black woman and acting like it was nothing. You're going to burn in hell for that. All this security. Listen, the White House has a no-fly zone. It has a no-fly zone, people. It's protected by an invisible barrier miles before you get to the White House. Miles. If you fly anything close to the White House, you're going to see 2 Raptors come out of nowhere, heavily armed, and warning you, land your plane or you will be blown out of the sky. 2 F-22s, brand spanking new, come out of nowhere, stealth tech the whole 9. The Bin Ladens, what about them? I'm just saying it has a no-fly zone. Do you know what that means? Which one are you talking about? There's no fly zone, people, which means they monitor Washington. They monitor the White House for miles. They see what's coming for miles. For miles, they know what's coming. And there's a military and a police contingent for anything that happens at the White House. And you mean to tell me a bunch of people can just roll up in the White House and steal Nancy Pelosi's mail without one shot being fired? Not one of them pulled out their weapon and bang, bang, boogied anybody. You got all the protection. Air Force One. You got 2 Air Force Ones. 2. And the president was in a tent not far away, looking to see who was going to get hung. The president chilling in a tent like this, him and his sons and his wife. Like, we gonna see if they gonna hang, one of these people. And then come out talking about something, you should all go home. I had nothing to do with this. I'm going to Mar-a-Lago. Thank you, goodbye. This dude ain't in jail? I'm done. Yeah, they could wipe us out. They could wipe us out without firing a shot. All they have to do is make the vaccination mandatory. And then, of course, whenever you take the vaccination is actually putting a disease in your body so you can fight the disease. And you have to take 2 doses of this vaccination in order for it to be at its highest potency. So we already know that there are people out there who are playing with the vaccinations already and selling vaccinations that are water. And if the Department of Health doesn't have control of that, you don't know what you're putting into your system. When you roll up in your car and you see the nurse and they're, hey, blah, 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 you don't know what just went into your body. You have no idea. And by the time you get the second one, boom. Did Obama really get that woman pregnant that died trying to get to the... What? No. That woman was married, and she was a 14-year U.S. Air Force veteran. She was already married. A veteran of the Air Force. If she would have had a story like that, we would have known. May God give the people the power not to be afraid and stand up for their rights. We will only beat this devil if we all unite for one goal. No Biden, no Gates, no freedom to the people. No Biden, no Gates, freedom to the people. Well, the word freedom, it's a tricky word, isn't it? Can you get on a plane and go to China right now? But you can walk outside of your house. But I bet you can't go to China right now. I bet you can't. I bet there's some other countries you can't go to either. Can you go into a grocery store without a mask? I bet you can't. Can you buy a ticket to the Super Bowl? Like everybody. Can you fill the seats up at the Super Bowl? I bet you can't. Bet you can't do that. Bet you can't. Freedom is a tricky word. It's tricky. Because as we keep going, there's just less and less that we can do. Heck, at one time, we weren't even allowed out at 10 o'clock. I'm a grown-ass man. What you mean tell me I can't come out at 10 o'clock and see what happens? I'm free. I'm an American. I'm an American. I could come out at 10 o'clock if I want to come out at 10 o'clock when there's a curfew and see what happens. when there's martial law. It's freedom is tricky. It's almost an illusion. It's like control. You think you have control until another car comes and sideswipe you. You had control of your car, but did you have control? A lady was walking across the street. A tire flew off of a truck and hit the lady and killed her. Who had control of what? Did she have control? Well, politicians don't usually go to jail. Politicians are kind of like CEOs. They have a golden umbrella. Now, we have been seeing some CEOs go to jail, especially those who do the whole Ponzi scheme and things like that. So we have been seeing that. And I'm hoping that they indict Donald Trump, actually. I hope they indict him for an insurrection. Will he go to jail? No. But I hope they at least indict him. But we've never seen an American president go to jail. We've never seen an American president get indicted for a crime. George Bush and his sons should have all been indicted, along with Dick Cheney, for their war crimes. They were oil mongers and war criminals. They're chilling at home like it's nothing. Yeah. I mean, good luck with that. Politicians going to jail. Was the last politician that went to jail. The last one. Name me one politician that has recently, in the last 20 years, went to jail. I don't know. But I bet you can tell me a lot of the criminal stuff they've been doing. Murder. What about bring back the old style rope? Rope for what? Hanging people? Understand why did they shoot at 4? Did she have a child in? Oh yeah, she had a child in the back, but the child wasn't harmed. Well, they just tried that. They had gallows on the 6th with ropes hanging from them. They had gallows. I mean, it was on some real medieval. They had gallows set out outside to hang politicians. They were talking about hanging Mike Pence. I ain't never seen nothing like this before. I'm just bugging out. I'm still, my whole mind is blown at the audacity. You know, when people say unmitigated gall, that was the very definition of unmitigated gall. I mean, you should at least mitigate your gall. This was unmitigated gall. Look, people want to call it white supremacy. I don't want to call it that. They want to call it white privilege. I mean, of course, that had a lot to do with this, but just the gall, the unmitigated. Woo! They had gallows, people. They had the one dude with the police things to tie people up with. This dude was looking 4 people. This is why they had the door barricaded, because that's why old girl got shot. It was the last stand. That policeman in plain clothes, no, he had on the suit. He was like this, looking at old girl. And there were police officers right beside her with big ass AR-15s talking to the people. And before that girl got shot, there were 3 officers who were standing in front of that door. They were all worked for the White House. They were all standing in front of that door trying to protect the cabinet members. And those guys started talking to those 3 officers, and they said, look, oh, you love my Atlanta videos? Thank you. I ain't did one in a while. They said, listen, we're here for you. We're all about Blue Lives Matter. When everybody else was against you guys, we was for you. They said, listen, go ahead and walk away, man, because we don't want y'all to get hurt. They said, just go ahead and walk away, man. Listen, we don't want none of y'all to get hurt. We don't want nothing to happen to y'all. We're on your side. Those dudes was like, cabinet members or me? Let's go. And they all pulled out at once, all 3 guys. Boom, 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 and walked off. And left that door the way it was. And the only reason why they didn't get to the people on the inside was because that one officer was behind the door, which most people didn't know, and the door was barricaded. And that woman was an immediate threat to that barricade. She climbed over and was trying to bust the window to climb in. And that officer was like, nope. He was like, boom. He watched her. And I'm sure he said something to her. He watched her. And when she cracked that window, he was like, cow. And he caught her one time to the neck and killed her. Just think of being in that position. You're the White House police. Who's going to run up in the White House? We got the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, National Guard. We got snipers on the roof. Then all of a sudden, you don't. All those police officers look like they ain't lifted a weight, and they look like they frequent the gym to do yoga. I'm serious. They don't look like cops I know. And I ain't saying nothing bad. I'm just saying that they don't look like they was ready for an insurrection. I mean, who's ready for an insurrection? But it's not like they didn't know they were coming. I'm just saying, my old ass can bench as much as they can. Matter of fact, I'm sure I can bench press more than they can. They weren't ready. That's not what they do. When I worked in the House of Representatives, you didn't see a bunch of big guys running around there as police. They're state cops. They don't do that. Every now and then you'll see one of a decent size, but the majority of them, they ain't wrestling with you. Those are street cops. Those are beat cops who do that. Got one beat cop, he's 3 times my size. This dude is huge. Huge. He walks around. I mean, he's bigger than Arnold Schwarzenegger in his heyday. That's how big this guy is. He's a beat cop. I seen a cop grab a guy out of the driver's seat and yanked him out so hard, and he yanked him through the window. I seen him yank this guy through the window so hard his pants came off. They handcuffed him and left him in the street, ass out. And just left him there and was sitting there talking about what they're going to do after work. Those are stadies that you saw there. They ain't B cops, because it's been a whole different story. Some people still want to Well, they might get what they want. It's just not they might not be hanging the people who they think they're going to be hanging. They might be hanging their neighbor over a loaf of bread. Everything is about to become tribal. Jesse Jackson's son is a senator. So how do people get rid of this scam? How do people get their freedom back? Well, it's not the way they think. Let me see if I can come up with a legitimate answer for that. Well, logically, you have to look at the definition of freedom. And then you would have to apply that definition to the way of life you once knew at one point in time. So when you put those two together, you kind of ask yourself, when was I ever free? When did you think you were free in America? It's just like the statement, make America great again. When was America great? Those two questions are synonymous. So when you can come up with a legitimate answer according to your definition of freedom or greatness, then you can apply it to your life. Say, okay, well, I was free in the 80s. 80s, great time. Good music. Wasn't too crazy. There was still some things going on nationally that were pretty bad, but we were still at war somewhere. But I could get in my Chevy Nova. I could travel across the country. You know what I'm saying? I was free. I did what I wanted to. I was free. There's still laws, though. I could only travel 55 miles an hour on the freeway. That kind of sucked. I still had to pay taxes on gas, even though gas was, like 30, 40, 50 cents. But what's your definition of free? Once you figure out what your definition of free is, then apply it to your life. Then apply it to a point in your life. And then think, how do I get back to this place? Now, your definition might not be the same as, it might not be a ubiquitous definition. But if you can just take a group of people and say, this many people believe in the same definition of freedom, and during the same time, and we believe that we can get back to this state of living. Then the question is, how do you get back to that state of living? Because freedom is not your doing alone. You can take away your own freedom by committing a crime, then you're locked up. But can you produce freedom if you're not already locked up? Can you produce freedom under, I forgot the word for it, but can you produce freedom? If you're not locked up, if you're out in under normal circumstances, is what I want to say, how can you produce freedom or the freedom that you once knew? First, you get to the freedom that you knew. How can I go back to that? The problem is you're not alone. And your freedom isn't dictated by your thoughts and your thoughts alone. Your freedom is dictated and it is given to you. You didn't work for your freedom. As a matter of fact, since the day you were born, there's pretty much nothing that you did that gave you freedom. It's nothing that you did. You were born into what you assume is freedom. Therefore, since you did not have the power to create and or did not create your freedom can be taken away from you. And it is dictated by somebody else's version of freedom. So the answer is, unless the powers that be agree with your version of freedom, you cannot get back to it. It's only an opinion. You can agree or disagree. It's just my opinion. I don't think we're free. I'm Black, so I was never free. I can only think of times where I enjoyed my life the most, and times when I didn't. And when I didn't, I either longed for or fought to get back to the times that I did. If you guys don't have any more questions, I'm going to go ahead and go. But if you do, I'll try to answer them before I get off. And once again, I thank you people for stopping by. And I don't know if Kitty is still here. Doesn't look like it. She looks like she left. I would have looked up my other videos for her, but she might not be here. Guys, got any questions for me before I go? I appreciate you guys for stopping by. I really enjoy the conversations. I never was free, just had a longer leash around my neck. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. And you know, anything on a leash, it goes out as far as it can. It tries its best to get past the point of elasticity, doesn't it? Look at any creature. See a dog run and then get yanked back by the leash and then get up and do the same thing again. A dog is well aware where the boundary is. This is a thinking, living creature. It knows exactly how far it can run before it's going to get its neck snapped back. But nonetheless, it'll get up and do it again and again and again and again. We do the same thing. We always test the elasticity of our leash. And we get punished for it, just like the dog does. I'm sure his neck is hurting every time it does it. And eventually it stops doing it because it's in pain. We do the same thing. We test the elasticity and we get punished for it in one way or another. Some just a smack on the hand, others were no longer here. We're all living on a leash. That's it and that's all. Love you guys. I'll come on again and do something like this maybe in a week or so. Listen to some more developments and see what we can come out with. It was a great conversation. I enjoyed you guys immensely. Please come back again. It's your boy Tom 202. God loves you and so do I.